Is it as exciting as it sounds in the moment?
No. You want to not mess up. Don't say the wrong thing. Don't not just blow your cover, because now I've got an undercover partner. I could get him killed.
You've also protected Barbara and George Bush's daughter, Laura, at things like Coachella.
So we went to Coachella, and she's like, we're going to go listen to a girl called Taylor Swift. I had no idea who that was.
You were in the World Trade Center on 9/11.
I went in that day, just a normal day. I was actually meeting with another agent, and that's when, we heard the first plane, and then subsequently the second, and then, there for the collapse of the towers. If everybody's able to unhinge me or to make me this emotional, I'm going to have a problem.
Yeah.
Because if you're easily offended, you are easily manipulated.
Yeah.
There's this great quote, the bigger the villain, the bigger the hero.
Yeah.
The more you see someone villainize someone, the more they do it to make themselves look like a hero.
I've got to ask you about James Bond.
It's really hard to watch those movies because they're so wrong.
They're so wrong. Right, so yesterday we had a pretend gladiator with us. I mean, don't get me wrong, Paul Mescal is brilliant in the new Gladiator film. We're giving it all the stars out of 5, and we're giving it a big fat 10 out of 10. But that's all pretend, though. It's just pretend. It's pretend, everybody. It's a puppet. Today, we have the real deal. Over to you, Vassos.
Fair to say we're in pretty safe hands with our next guest. She's the Secret Service agent who's protected presidents, and I'm telling the truth because she's also an expert lie detector. Her new BBC Maestro course, The Art of Influence, is available now. So please welcome, she ain't heavy, she's Evy Poumpouras.
All right, good morning, Evie. Welcome to the top of the tower.
Good morning, good morning. Thank you.
Okay, fellow Greek?
Yeah, I figured Vassos.
Yeah.
Vassos, yes.
Do you want a bit of Greek chat first?
Mila Selinika.
Ne, milalinika.
Hey, come on! All I've got is Calimera. That's all I've got. Will you take Calimera?
We will take it.
Oh, I mean, you are such a badass. It's not even funny. Love all your stuff. We're all big fans.
Thank you.
We are the biggest fans. For people listening, can you just qualify and validate your experience, your learning, your skill set to do with how you go about your occupation nowadays?
So I started off in New York City Police Department.
Yep.
I was a cadet recruit. And then from there, I went to the U.S. Secret Service as a special agent. A lot of folks don't know special agents. They do protection. So it's the folks you see with presidents, former presidents. You also protect foreign heads of state. So when the prime minister comes from here overseas, you do protection. You don't want anybody getting assassinated on U.S. soil.
Or at all.
At all. At all. And you also work criminal investigations. So we had a lot of casework that we did, but I was also a polygraph examiner interrogator. The service had a really small unit. It was only about 30 of us, but it's really kind of a specialized training for that. And so we would do the really hard cases, and we would do not just our cases, but we would travel to different parts of the country and help the police with the most difficult cases. So if they had someone who they suspected of a crime and said, look, we interviewed this guy 4 times, we're getting nothing, we've got nothing, we think he did it, can you give it a go? So I would come in and then I would interview them. Your goal, though, was always to get what's called a pre-test confession. If you can get them to confess without having to give them a polygraph. I actually think they're illegal here. I don't think you do them here in the UK.
I don't think they're illegal, but I don't think they count as legal evidence.
So they do them here.
I don't know actually. I don't know. I have no idea.
It doesn't count as evidence. But what counts is the information that is given.
Right.
The polygraph it's for the person doing the interview, because some people are really, really good liars and they will look you dead in the face, deadpan, I didn't do it. So all the polygraph does you ask a series of questions and you'll see a physiological, it's a tool, and it'll tell me, okay, you asked this question, it bothered him, find out why.
Yeah, so
and that's all you need.
It won't do the job for you, but it will assist you to maybe be successful in your job. Because, of course, military personnel, and we know this from what's happened behind enemy lines in recent years, they're trained to defy polygraphs, aren't they?
You got to be really good to beat one. I mean, they do dumb stuff. They'll I'll tell you, they'll tighten their butt cheeks. I had a sensor pad on my seat because you'd ask them a question and then you just hear you'd see the tightening happening.
You had a sensor pad?
I had a sensor pad. Yes. That's how people try to beat it.
That's so
They
cool.
tighten their butt cheek when you ask a question. Or what was the other one? They'll put a tack in their shoe and then they'll put their toe on the tack. I mean, dumb stuff. So no, can you really beat them? Like, no, it's not.
I'm not being disrespectful looking down at my notes because that's what I'm doing. However, even if I was, you wouldn't mind. Because in your BBC Maestro course, you talk about that, don't you? Self-respect, it does what it says on the tin. It's self-respect. You don't, in a certain situation, require anybody else's respect. And if you get sort of distracted by that, it can lead to your downfall. You have all this stuff going on, don't you? All these things you've learned.
The thing with self-respect and with BBC Maestro, which is they were great to work with, because what I love is everything we built, like we designed it to genuinely help people. We don't want to give people fluff or nonsense. It's not really going to help them. It sounds cool, but then it does nothing. Yeah. With self-respect, the way I think the narrative today is make everybody respect you. Chase it. Like you're taught to chase it. And if you don't get it, something is wrong and you should stop everything you're doing and get it. It is such a massive time waster. And it's such a distraction.
And it can become an addiction, can't it?
It becomes, because this person did this person did that, and when you are, it means you're an emotional person. It means your ego needs to be in check. And we all have that happen from time to time. And if you pause and think about it, if everybody's able to unhinge me or to make me this emotional, I'm going to have a problem. Yeah. Because if you're easily offended, you are easily manipulated.
Yeah. That's one of the lines that really landed with me and the thing about your BBC Maestro courses, I'm a big fan of the BBC Maestro courses. We have a lot of people who do them on the show, and you are right up there with the best of them. Your course is a lot shorter than most of the courses. It's 4 hours. It has as many segments to it as most of them, but it's shorter, it's more concise, because you don't mess around. I want to use another word there, but you do not mess around. You get in there, you get the job done, and you get out again. And the length of your course is testament to your mindset.
I think too, it's just people are busy. There's stuff out there, and I'm Greek. What's up, Vasa? Like we said before, I want to be straight and to the point. And that's how, I was raised. It's like, I think people are sometimes tired of hearing just tell me what I need to know and be genuine. And that was really the primary thing with the course. It's like, this is what I know. This is what I've been trained in. And a lot of it too, backed by science and research. This is what we know and works well. Yeah. This is what the elite intelligence communities are using. It's all about people. You're dealing with people, whatever business you're in at the end of the day. People are your blessing and people are your obstacles. Yeah. And so if you learn how to manage people, this will help you. And that's really the premise of the course, how to deal with people. But also too, a big part of it, like the first part was the self-respect. Yeah. So we broke it up into like 50%. 50% it's you, 50% it's the rest of the world. And so you have to learn both elements. Yeah.
And you are in control of 100% of you, but 1% of the rest of the world, if that even, on a good day.
You can influence people to a degree. Yes. But to a degree. And also the thing is that with the course, it's not designed to teach you how to manipulate people. Yes. You can do that to people. You won't do well in life. Yeah. You will succeed short term because everybody's going to know what you're about. Mm-hmm. And that's what the course is. It's like I don't teach that.
It's so good, Evie. It's such a great course. There is a whole episode on influence. It's a whole episode on self-respect. And then you talk about the blamers and the complainers. And I that really chimed with me. The drama triangle, the people who live in the drama triangle, and you say that another phrase you use, if you want a smooth life, surround yourself with smooth people. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but you can play a difficult situation on easy mode, and you can also turn an easy situation into something you're playing on hard mode, and you don't need to do that. And it is so important. It's about your environment. The most important thing is to talk about them on the show all the time. Stay well. Nutrition is important, exercise is important, hydration is important. I know you talk about all this as well in the same course, but it's about environment and who you surround yourself with.
But you control your environment. That's the thing. But what often we do is like, he did this, she did that. Now look, to some degree, certain family, like some family you get, that's what you get. But you have to find a way to offset the things that aren't steady. You're not going to be steady. If everybody around you is a mess, you're just going to be a mess. It's just the way it is. It doesn't matter how strong your identity is. Yeah, you are influenced by everybody around you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to try. I apologize, but I'm so enthusiastic with what you're saying.
Bring it.
Is if you surround yourself with people who are a mess, it's easy to feel like a hero.
Oh my gosh, there's this great quote, and I can't remember who said it. I think his name was Jim Quick. He said, "The bigger the villain, the bigger the hero."
Yeah.
The more you villainize somebody or you see someone villainize someone, the more they do it to make themselves look like a hero.
100%.
Anytime I hear somebody just bash and bash, it's always done. It's a bucket head. I'm going to take from my bucket, from your bucket, so I could put into my bucket. I'm 100% with you on that.
Yeah, love it, love it, love it. Tell us some of the fun stuff. It's fun to look back at. I know it was very, very serious at the time, but tell us some of the fun stuff, like having to perfect an Eastern European accent, why you might have done that, where that came from, and this actually happened at work, didn't it? You had to do this.
I did. I had to pretend that I was being human trafficked, and I did undercover, and I was going into a mafia organized crime, and I had to get papers, because when they bring me from my country, they take my paperwork, and I can't get cell phone, so I need to buy real documents so I can live here in America until I pay off my debt.
Now that sounds fun. Until you put it into a situation where there are gun-wielding maniacs, criminal maniacs, that you're trying to entrap.
So it's hard because when I did Undercover, and I'm trying to think all my different ones, I actually was unarmed. You know, here you don't carry, but there everybody carries. I was unarmed in all of them, and I didn't wear a wire on them, because just to protect myself, because of the nature of the people that we were dealing with. So you had to be really, really, really good.
You've done this. This is not stories. You've done it.
Yes.
This is first person recollection.
That was
here.
my acting right there at its finest.
sorry.
Actually, I was talking to BBC Maestro Brian Cox, the actor.
Yeah.
He was at my event yesterday, and I went up to him. I'm like, I've gone to acting school. I graduated an actor, and we were bonding, so it was great.
What would have happened in that situation if they'd have had an Eastern European speaker and they'd have hit you with the language, the actual language?
So I actually, for that one, I did pretend to be Greek with some Eastern or European origins.
So you could have spoken Greek.
Because I spoke Greek. So that's why I did it. I speak a few languages, but Eastern European ones aren't one of them.
Right.
So I stuck to, like, I was Greek, but I was kind of from that region. So that was my main language I was going to fall on.
Wise. And you really have been charged with missions such as getting bad acting Russians onto private jets to get them back to America so they can be arrested on the Brooklyn Bridge. None of this is made up. This is all true.
Did I say this on Steven's show?
It's part of my in-depth research.
I'm impressed with your intelligence here. So that is a true story. There was a guy in Russia. He was hacking systems from Russia in the United States and just depleting people's accounts, but not anybody's account, like very wealthy people's accounts. That's probably how it ended up on the federal level. But he was doing some serious damage. They find him. America hits up Russia. Russia, we found this guy. He's doing this and this and this. Will you extradite him? Of course, Russia's like, no, which I don't blame them, because we don't exactly do that for them either.
Yeah.
I want to be fair. I don't want to villainize anybody. And so everyone had to be very creative on, like, how are we going to do this? Not my case, though. I find out about it on a Friday as I'm walking by my boss's office getting ready to pack up my stuff and go. He's like, hey, Papalopoulos, what are you doing tomorrow? I said, why don't you tell me what I'm doing? He's like, you need to get on a plane tonight to go to the Dominican Republic to pretend to be this guy's girlfriend, not the Russians, but somebody else. We have an undercover, and we're trying to lure this Russian out of Russia and sneak him into the U.S., and we need you to legitimize the real undercover, who was an NYPD detective, a very senior NYPD detective. He had been working this Russian for a long time from a distance. And so they convinced, not me, they convinced him to get to the DER. And then while he was in the Dominican Republic, my boyfriend and I had to really kind of create an environment or scene that was very believable to him, that we were like, hey, the idea was, my boyfriend was telling him, come to the U.S., we can really, really make a great profit if you come to the U.S. I will hide you. We will sneak you in. I mean, you will make a killing. And Greed got him. And he's like, yeah, I'll get on the plane. And we flew on our private jet, which was Customs Border Patrol, with our pilots.
So everybody was Secret Service on the plane?
No, it was a multi-agency task force. I think every agency was part of it. Customs Border Patrol.
So exciting.
It was I mean, we had everybody. Everybody probably with any kind of acronym was part of this. And everyone got together, joined forces, and did it. Whenever you have a big actor like this, you really have to put your stuff aside and work together.
Right.
And so everybody, I was really a small part. I was kind of like the window dressing. And, I asked my boss, what do you want me to do? He's like, just legitimize the detective.
Is it as exciting as it sounds in the moment?
No.
Is it mundane?
It's not that it's mundane. It's serious.
Right.
It's serious. I can tell you the story now because it happened.
Yes.
But when you're doing it, you want to not mess up. Don't say the wrong thing. Don't not just blow your cover, because now I've got an undercover partner. I could get him killed. I could blow the whole thing by doing something wrong, and all these thousands and tens of thousands of dollars and manpower hours are wasted because I did something wrong. And you can make a mistake just without meaning to, or doing the wrong thing. So no, it's not fun at all. No.
Okay. But it's a vocation that's very worthwhile, and you're in service, and that is presumably extremely fulfilling.
I mean, for me, it was. I was always driven by doing of service. And I don't even know, I don't know where it came from, to be frank. Like, I just wanted to help. And I think these opportunities came about to be in service of something greater than myself. And I will tell you that even over the years of doing these jobs, and you definitely deal with life-death experiences quite a bit, and sometimes some more intense than others, at least it revealed to me in my lifetime, you realize, like, be of service. And truly anybody can be of service. You can still build wealth or take care of yourself, but be of service. Even now, you come on your show and you've got all this energy, and you're being of service to what? The people of London, everybody listening, everybody, to give them, it's like, hey, you're just trying in your way to make everybody's life a little bit better.
Yeah.
Who's listening?
1%. We'll take 1%.
Right?
Yeah, sure. I've got this thing written on my garage wall saying, if any day you're feeling like a hot shot, you need to work out how you're going to make it up to servant.
I love that.
Right. So, presidents. You've served under 4 presidents?
I started under Clinton.
Yeah.
And then I had Clinton, Bush Jr., Barack Obama. But you also protect all the formers.
Yeah.
And then you're on the vice presidents.
Yeah. So you spent a lot of time in the White House.
Yes.
Like loads and loads of time. Like a day or two here and there.
No, yeah.
Okay, and you've also protected Barbara and George Bush's daughter, Laura, at things like Coachella. So like, it's like Glastonbury. So you think the president's daughter wants to go a weekend away. Great, fine. Where's that? Coachella. Oh, not Coachella.
I didn't even know what Coachella was when she told me. She's like, we're going to Coachella. I said, all right, what's a Coachella? I thought it was a purse or something.
It's like 100,000 people in the middle of like rock and roll, and what else is going on? And that's a big deal, though, isn't it? It's a big, serious deal.
Those were hard because you really had to look. Well, I think I got her because I did not look like an agent, so it helped. So I blended in. A lot of times people would pin our protectees. They wouldn't recognize the person you're protecting, but they could tell from the entourage of agents around that there's somebody, and that's also dangerous. And so I think also too for her, it's like she also was hard for her to have protection. She wanted to live and go on dates, so they thought having a woman would help. And I mean, she was a great protectee. So we went to Coachella, and she's like, we're gonna go listen to a girl called Taylor Swift. I had no idea who that was. I said, who? Okay, do I need to? I don't know who that is. Let me find out.
Brush up on it.
I did. Well, I didn't know. And she's like, how do you not know? I said, Barbara, I'm like, that's not my thing. So, but we ended up going to, I think she performed there. And so backstage, and I'm, scanning everybody. So you have to navigate these environments. It was hard because you're trying to let them live. But at the same time, if you're there and you've got like 100,000 people, it's just such a limiting thing. Protection is hard.
Rules are rules.
It's just hard. It's like, and sometimes too, your protectee wants to do certain things, and you're just kind of like, I can't let you do that because I can't promise I can keep you safe. You could put great plans together, and you should put good plans together, but you could never, there was never a day where I was like, I got this. This is easy. Ever.
You have lived some kind of life, and you got plenty of it left, thank God. It almost wasn't the case, was it? Because of 9/11, you were in the World Trade Center on 9/11.
I was. It was U.S. Secret Service had headquarters Their New York office had headquarters at the World Trade Center. And, I went in that day, just a normal day. I was actually meeting with another agent there from a different agency helping me track somebody who was committing fraud. And he was hiding out in Canada. And so I was trying to be clever and catch him as soon as he crossed the border. And that's when, we heard the first plane and then subsequently the second. And then, there for the collapse of the towers. I think for that day, was it a hard day? Sure it was. But, I'm also grateful for that day because there's two things that happened on that day. One is I learned who I was as far as real stress comes, or like who I was going to be when something bad happened. And, I chose not to evacuate and I chose to stay. I could have had plenty of time to leave. And I'm like, no, it wasn't even a question in my head. I'm staying. And so that's really what caught me in the collapse of the towers. Because, nobody knew. I didn't even know. Even as it was collapsing, I had no idea what was happening. I thought maybe a part of the building was coming off, from the fire. I didn't realize the whole thing was coming down. And it wasn't until the first one came down, the whole massive building came down around the area where I was because we were triaging, that I realized, oh my, wow. I'm like, this isn't what I thought. So I'm thankful for that day because I saw who I was, and sometimes life tests us and we don't know who we're going to be. And I'm thankful of who I was and what I did that day because I think it would have bothered me if I didn't stay to do what I think was the right thing to do, at least for me. And then the second thing with that day, when you have moments like that, they really put life in perspective. They really put life in perspective. And you're like, you know what? I need to not blame, complain, and you really start to live. So anytime I have a journey like anybody else does, and I start to kind of deviate or my thought process, I pause and I'm like, I always go back to that day. I'm like, nope, remember what you promised yourself. And so those are powerful moments, but I honestly, I wouldn't trade it. It taught me a lot. And
even you have to go back to moments like that. You have to keep reminding yourself because none of us are immune to just being human. They say that they used to say history repeats itself, but it doesn't. People repeat themselves. It's humans that repeat. We repeat our mistakes. History sort of says, not again. Here we go again. And we're the same on a daily basis, aren't we? So when you have a bad day or you're not present or, you're not there for yourself, what does that look like? How often does it happen, if it ever happens? And what do you do about it?
Well, I for sure have my own personality traits. Vassos, we're Greek, so Greeks are very loud. They're ready to fight everybody.
I love that she keeps bringing you in because you're a fellow Greek. I was so cool.
They're very loud. It's like they're very big on respect, by the way, and it's a culture that's a very honor culture, dignity culture, where you get very easily offended. So I like anybody, I have to talk myself through. One of the big things I do is, because I'm very much, if something comes at me, I'm very much the person who intuitively and instinctually I want to fight, and I know that about me. It's called being a T-Rex. Actually, shout out to the Allisons, who are British, UK, and they're the ones who've done research, who helped the intelligence community create animal archetypes for people's behavior, so you can understand who you are and what most other people are. So I'm what they call a T-Rex, which means a person who's always ready to fight.
And by the way, these people appear on the show with you on the BBC Maestro course.
They're actually on the course. I brought them on the course. And you know why? Because we use this in the in the intelligence community. And but it works for everybody. And when you know who you have in front of you, oh, I've got a lion. Oh, I've got a T-Rex. Oh, I've got a monkey. Monkey's like warm, social. And there's good versions and bad versions of these. And then you can figure out where to go. Most people, and even today, people come to me after I wrote my book, Becoming Bulletproof. People come, they ask questions. How do I handle this person? How do I do that, but that person? How do I do this situation? And these are tactics that we use. Especially when we did interviews, people hated you. Nobody wanted to talk to you. You deal with all sorts of personalities. But the principles to human behavior are the same across the board. It's like you want to understand the person, see what they are, figure out what's going on with them, and then understand, okay, if I have to work with this person or I need something, I need to create progress. How do I do that? You can tell anybody off, I guess, and I always say, if you're going to tell somebody off, just make sure that's what you want to do. If you're going to burn that bridge, burn it to the ground. I'm with you, but just make sure that is what you truly want and that it will serve you in the long run.
Yeah, and speaking to that, you have said in the past as well, you have never witnessed yourself a sitting president lose their shillelagh.
I never experienced it.
Yeah.
I never, because
they're very calm about things.
they're calm, but even if they're not calm, they have a circle around them. That's the other thing. It goes back to the circle. Every president has their circle of people who keep them steady. So when things are breaking bad, and things will be breaking bad in the world, things will be breaking bad even within the White House, things will break bad when you turn the TV on and you see some political pundit, whichever channel you turn on, calling you all sorts of names. And that goes back again to self-respect. You can't fall apart and be a mess. So you would watch how they would move and navigate the world and their problems, because you can't fall apart.
Yeah.
You're the president of the United States. Whoever it is, you have to keep it together. And so without realizing it, like, I was in the best school possible, just watching how people navigate. And, growing up there, it's what I learned. And again, we put that in the BBC course.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's really good. BBC Maestro. This is Evy Poumpouras we're talking to here. The Art of Influence. It's an online course and it's great. We've got to ask you about James Bond. I mean, I'm guessing you're a fan. I don't know. You might not be a fan. Tell us about you and James Bond.
I've seen them. Shout out to all the different James Bond actors. But it's really hard to watch those movies because they're so wrong.
They're so wrong.
They're so
entertaining, but they're so wrong.
They're so not true. There's nothing I've seen in any of those movies that I'm like, I don't think so.
Nothing.
It's
not
so not reality. It's so not reality.
So you beats everyone. None of it's not 1% even.
No.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of the stuff we do is. There's also boring things
I
you
know.
do.
I know.
Yeah,
Well, that's why it's a drama. It's just
I
dramatized.
always do the body count, like when how many people they kill, and I'm just like, if that happened in real life, heads would roll.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
What about True Lies? Have you seen True Lies?
No.
Oh, True Lies. I love True Lies. True Lies is Jamie Lee Curtis and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, that movie.
Yeah.
Yes, years ago.
Yeah.
That was a good movie.
True Lies. And also, look, I presume if nothing in James Bond is true, I'm not sure anything in True Lies might be true. But I love the title, True Lies. And you speak about truth in BBC Maestro, don't you? You say it's a superpower, especially for a secret agent, because if you are being true to yourself, you don't have to make excuses to yourself in any given moment when time is of the essence, because you are operating from your very own true north, which is so important.
It really has to do with your character and your integrity, and everybody's going to have a different one to some degree. So you have to rely on that. So, for example, like when you're an agent or you're out in the field, if things break bad, there's nobody to turn to and say, hey, what should I do? Or a manager, or hey, boss, what would you like me to do here? You have to act and act fast. So you have to learn to be decisive. I'll tell you this. The one thing people always ask me, like, how to become more confident. The one thing that I know creates confidence is making decisions. Your ability to make decisions, and whether it's right or wrong, just make a decision. And most people are terrified of making the wrong decision. They're crippled by it. What if it's wrong? So what? It's wrong. Yeah. And people are not okay with that. And you have to be okay with that. If you can master that, you will see your confidence soar. Actually, when they look at the law enforcement community or people in the community of like where I come from, the profession, highest level of confidence rate. And that's because of that. Because you're decision makers. You yourself have been in life or death situations where you've had to make a decision, haven't you? Well, you do, because anytime, again, in the U.S., it's different. Anytime you have a weapon on you and you pull your gun and you point it at someone and you have a moment where it's not James Bond. You have a moment and you're thinking, I might kill this person. And am I ready for that? And is it worth it, but like you're sitting and you're doing this mental math in your head thinking, are they going to listen to me? Are they going to follow my instruction? Are they going to escalate it? Can I de-escalate them? Do they have a gun? Do they have a gun? And a lot of times, I do the news now. Today I do the news at NBC. I cover national security and crime. So when things happen, I do the analysis of it on air, on their radios and podcasts. And so when something happens after the fact, it's easy to Monday morning quarterback. Oh, he was unarmed. Oh, he was this. That's great. What do I know in that moment when this is happening? And then also, I'm also a human being. Like my I'm going to fluctuate too. My adrenaline's going to soar. So I have to manage myself, manage this person, and then in my head do the mental math. Do I go for my gun? Do I go for my pepper spray? I go for my baton? Should I go back to my hands? Oh, no, wait, he just did this. There's a furtive movement. It's a really hard thing to do. So for me, anytime I pulled my weapon out and pointed at someone, you had that moment where you're like, am I actually going to do this? Because I also was not a person who people always ask me, you ever shoot anybody? Do you know that in the United States, I think it's about 1% of law enforcement actually use their weapon? Less than 1%. If you watch the news, and I own it because I'm part of it, it seems like everyone's shooting everybody. Yeah. It's 1%, 1.4% or less. Either use force or the threat of force. Most go through their whole career and never discharge their weapon. That's really how you want to do it. You got to learn how to talk, though.
Did NBC ask you to respond to the first Trump assassination?
Oh, yeah.
So what was your take on that? Because I've heard you talk about presidential exclusion zones and the no-fly zone. There's so many things in place that we don't know about or we won't see. Yet what happened to Donald Trump seems to have been so sort of route one, so simple. Was that probably why it came close to being the most unimaginable outcome, do you think?
I think, to get technical with it, there were a lot of the idea when you put a security plan, there's all these measures you put in place. And if you have a jackal or a bad guy come in, each layer is supposed to catch them. Here, they had many layers that did not work. So there were a lot of things that fell through. You had this person get access to the event. They had a weak security checkpoint. They had like a chain link fence that they used. People were moving around. He was able to get access. He was able to get a drone up. He's 20 years old. He's walking around doing recon. He gets spotted. He gets lost. He's able to make position. They're not able to pull him down. He had a clear line of sight. There were so many issues there. And so as much as it breaks my heart, like Secret Service really, and they owned it. They said this is unacceptable. And it really, really was. And it's really going back and looking at what decisions did we make or not make that led to this. And I have to say, like, to be like transparent, because I want to be transparent, you can become complacent. If you're doing something for a long time, decades have passed, no one gets hurt. You're like, easy Monday, easy Tuesday. Oh, we're fine. It's just an open rally. Oh, it's just this. Oh, it's another one. Because when they're doing hundreds of these, it's just another one. And so sometimes you lose that element of being on the game and doing your stuff. It's also, too, I think, when you get into that culture, you can, without realizing it, be influenced by everybody around you. No, it's fine. You don't need that. No, you're okay here. You can deflect. And even when I would do my security advances, I think 9/11 made me very, very vigilant, like almost to the point where I would ask for more resources. I always ask for more. My mindset was let them tell me no. But there were times where there was one time where I asked, it was Barack Obama, Las Vegas. I'm securing this massive hotel venue, and he's doing a debate prep for his upcoming re-election. And they're like, hey, here's this hotel. It actually was Massive Resort. Somebody already did it before you. Here's his plan. He used 45 guys. It's all ready for you, go. So I take my plan. I read this. I do the whole venue. And I'm like, it's not 45 guys. I need 75 guys to secure this. Yeah. So I go back. I'm like, I give them my numbers. They're like, did you not read the plan? I said, I read the plan. The plan is wrong.
Yeah, you got away with it last time.
I said, this is not a good plan. I even talked to the locals. There were a lot of holes here. I want 75. And I got a lot of pushback to the point where they sent a very, very senior agent, a boss, to come and walk through every single post I had. And I was getting a lot of, I don't want to say push, but are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Kind of almost like, do you know how to do your job? Because you had to balance your ability to ask for resources and budget. And I was like, you know what? I was like, can you do it with less? I was like, I can do it with 5. You want to give me 5? I can secure it with 5. But if you're asking me how to keep them alive, this is the number I need. So I was able to hold my ground and not be swayed or influenced. And I was like, bring the boss. I was like, I really don't care.
And what happened?
He walked through every single post. He's like, maybe we can combine this. I said, you do what you want. Give me my final number and I'll secure it.
How did you get?
But it's not coming for B. I think I got like in the 60s, high 60s.
Okay, you take the 60s. Listen, we got to go. We're way over time. We think you're amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for
very
having
much.
me, guys.
We have been talking to Evy Poumpouras, The Art of Influence. It's an online course. It's part of the BBC Maestro series, which is just getting better and better and better, and we'll be there forever. Round of applause, please, if you don't mind. We're going to go. Thursday, we're over. We're done. Bring on Friday. Live from the top of the town. Thank you, Vasco.